Among the world's automakers, Toyota today stands in a position unlike any other. While many competitors have placed their hopes on incremental progress with existing technologies, Toyota appears to have leapt ahead in a way few could have anticipated. Their preparedness for the next era of mobility is not measured merely by prototypes or marketing slogans, but by a tangible advancement that stunned the industry. The company has invested deeply in new energy storage systems, and what they revealed left even seasoned rivals frozen in disbelief. Executives who once carried themselves with confidence saw that confidence evaporate as they realized what had just unfolded. This was not another concept unveiled with caveats, nor was it the kind of vague promise of a better future that automakers often offer to buy time. Instead, Toyota introduced a functioning technology, an actual machine, that shattered assumptions. On a quiet stage without spectacle or theatrics, a screen lit up to reveal numbers no one thought possible. The data spoke for itself. Range figures, charging times, safety tests, all were beyond anything the electric vehicle industry had imagined could be achieved this decade, perhaps even this century. One figure alone captured the imagination of every person in the hall. 1,000 miles of range on a single charge. Another detail landed with equal weight, a full recharge from empty to maximum in just 5 minutes. These were not hopeful projections, nor numbers cherry-picked from simulations. They were measured results confirmed by independent verification. For decades, lithium-based batteries had represented the ceiling of possibility. Improvements were small, 10% increases in efficiency here, slightly faster charging there, but nothing even remotely close to this. The way Toyota revealed the breakthrough was as striking as the numbers themselves. There was no dramatic music swelling, no carefully orchestrated hype, just simple figures displayed with matter-of-fact confidence. And those figures quietly rewrote the limits of electric power. Many industry veterans whispered to each other in disbelief, trying to find reasons why this couldn't be real. Yet Toyota backed its claims with a working prototype, one that outside laboratories had validated. This wasn't vaporware. It wasn't smoke and mirrors. It was real. And if real, the implications were staggering. The foundation of the electric vehicle market had just shifted beneath everyone's feet. At the center of Toyota's accomplishment was a change in chemistry that seemed deceptively simple. For years, lithium had been the indispensable element of modern batteries. But lithium came with built-in limitations. Each lithium ion could only carry a single electron, a modest packet of energy. Aluminum, however, behaved differently. Each aluminum ion could carry 3 electrons, tripling the potential energy per unit. The promise lay not just in aluminum itself, but in the way Toyota paired it with a graphene-based cathode that allowed the ions to move freely with minimal resistance. In lithium batteries, heat often built up dangerously as ions struggled through the structure. With this new design, heat buildup was nearly absent. The benefits went beyond efficiency. Safety, long a concern in the EV space, was dramatically improved. Lithium batteries were infamous for swelling, overheating, and, in the worst cases, igniting into thermal runaway fires. Toyota's aluminum-ion batteries showed no such vulnerabilities. To prove the point, engineers subjected the cells to punishment no real-world car battery should ever face. They froze them solid, then blasted them with extreme heat. They crushed, pierced, and even deliberately short-circuited the packs. Through it all, the batteries refused to ignite. Not even a spark appeared. What emerged was more than a battery. It was a system immune to the fears that had haunted electric cars since their inception. Observers couldn't help but notice what Toyota chose not to say. The word lithium never once crossed the presenter's lips. It was as if the era of lithium had already been written off, an obsolete technology whose time had quietly expired. That silence carried immense weight. Rival companies had poured billions into securing lithium supply chains, mining contracts in South America, extraction operations in Australia, cobalt shipments from the Congo. These deals were precarious, riddled with political risks, ecological damage, and ethical shadows. Aluminum, in contrast, was plentiful, inexpensive, and already integrated into the global economy. By choosing aluminum, Toyota had freed itself from the geopolitical and environmental baggage of lithium. The message was unspoken but unmistakable. Lithium had only ever been a stopgap, and its reign was coming to an end. The broader implications rippled outward immediately. For decades, oil's last defense against electric vehicles had been convenience. A tank of gasoline could carry a car hundreds of miles and could be refilled in minutes, while electric drivers endured range anxiety and long recharge times. But Toyota's announcement obliterated that defense. 1,000 miles of range made daily worries irrelevant. A 5-minute charge meant waiting was no longer part of the equation. Imagine pulling into a charging station, plugging in, and being ready to leave before your coffee cooled. No combustion engine, however efficient, could compete with that. Analysts immediately saw what it meant. Oil demand projections would no longer hold. Millions of barrels per day that seemed locked into the future could evaporate as consumers and fleets pivoted toward a clearly superior option. What once seemed like a gradual decline in oil usage now looked like the first rumblings of collapse. The shockwaves weren't limited to Tokyo. Within hours, panic rippled through boardrooms in California and Shenzhen. At Tesla, rumors spread of an urgent new initiative to explore aluminum-ion technology. Engineers were pulled from other projects and reassigned in haste. The urgency was clear. If Toyota's breakthrough scaled, Tesla's leadership position was under threat. In China, BYD and CATL faced even greater peril. Their dominance rested on mastery of lithium supply chains, with mines, refineries, and factories all aligned to sustain that ecosystem. But aluminum shifted the playing field entirely. If aluminum-ion cells became the standard, their hard-won advantage could vanish overnight. Governments also felt the impact. Research programs once abandoned were revived. Laboratories across Europe and the United States dusted off shelved projects on aluminum chemistries, hoping to catch up. But catching up would not be easy. In this race, being first carried immense weight. Toyota had already demonstrated a functional product, and in an industry as competitive as this, being first to market could mean the difference between thriving and merely surviving. Yet even with such promise, new challenges emerged. The infrastructure built to support lithium-ion vehicles suddenly looked outdated. Charging stations designed for 350 kilowatt outputs, once considered cutting-edge, were no longer adequate. Toyota's cells could absorb power at levels far beyond that. Without faster, higher-capacity stations, their potential would be constrained. Japan moved first, installing pilot charging stations along highways with 1 megawatt capacity. Cars pulled in, recharged in minutes, and departed smoothly. California soon followed, filing permits for megawatt hubs powered by solar arrays and linked to the grid. Retail chains, convenience stores, and fuel distributors began to consider retrofitting locations, unwilling to risk obsolescence. The message was stark. Infrastructure must evolve quickly, or it would be left behind. The trickle of electricity that once defined EV charging could no longer keep up with the flood demanded by aluminum-ion cells. Economics added yet another dimension to the disruption. For years, battery costs had been the hidden barrier to mass adoption. In most electric cars, the battery pack represented nearly half the total price. Despite scaling production and generous subsidies, lithium-ion packs struggled to dip below $100 per kilowatt-hour. Toyota's new chemistry promised to change that. Aluminum was abundant, mined across more than 60 countries and already embedded in global industry. There was no need for rare additives, expensive treatments, or politically fraught mining contracts. Analysts began estimating that production costs could fall below $80 per kilowatt-hour within a few years. That shift would open the door to electric vehicles priced competitively with traditional cars. A family sedan priced under $25,000, boasting a range that exceeded even high-end luxury EVs, suddenly seemed within reach. And with aluminum-ion's remarkable durability, batteries could last for decades without replacement. Owning an EV would no longer feel like a compromise. It would be the most practical choice available. Toyota envisioned applications far beyond cars. They introduced modular energy blocks, compact enough to power a single home, but powerful enough to anchor community microgrids. These units were safe, stackable, and resistant to fire. They could store renewable energy from solar or wind, stabilizing supply without fear of degradation. This was something lithium had struggled to deliver at scale. The implications spread outward quickly. Aviation companies began investigating aluminum-ion cells for electric aircraft. Militaries explored the chemistry for drones and portable field systems. Consumer technology firms imagined phones that charged in seconds and laptops that ran for weeks. What began as an automotive breakthrough was already transforming into a revolution in energy storage itself. What happened in that quiet presentation hall was more than a product launch. It marked a turning point, a moment where the rules shifted irrevocably. For decades, the future had appeared tethered to lithium, with oil still clinging to relevance. Then, almost overnight, Toyota revealed another path: faster, safer, cleaner. Competitors were thrown into disarray, investors unsettled, and governments forced to rethink strategies. The old world had been built on fire and fuel. The new one might soon run on aluminum, silent, resilient, and unshakable. And as the industry now races to catch up, one reality stands out above the rest. The fuse has been lit, the countdown has already begun, and the next era of energy is no longer a distant dream, but a present reality shaping the future before our eyes.